Hello, everybody. This is Cedric. Cedric is this guy. He's my new main horse, and I'm going to get a avatar tomorrow. I haven't gotten. So, I have been doing a boost for the past day and a half. There's a rotisserie chicken that I'm gonna grab. I am gonna put OBS Studios on my thing so I can stream some of the boost tomorrow. I do need to go to sleep at some point because I have to get up by the time I get up, I have to leave straight away. Okay, Clyde with nothing. So as you can see, I've got a horn and a Island Unique Carrier Boost. Because I'm hoping either get an Arabian Island Unique Carrier or a Horned Island Unique Carrier, which would also be a event IOH. Because there's an event right now. Is that another freaking Clyde without a wig? Without a wig or a horn. I've been seeing people live stream, and I really want to be able to live stream. Right now it is my spring break right now. Cause I do go to a certain school online. So yeah, that's fun. We're just gonna talk a little bit because I hope they get married me an Island Unique Hair. Okay, the horse is back here, so we don't need it. And yes, we do need to get some things down. I just realized that I can post videos from basically, and by checking, this is gonna make it quicker. I mean, I could. And there's a freaking Marwari without a wig, okay. Then you gotta put your hand on it.
Right, Peppa, I love you.
Good night. Love you. Anyway, sorry, that was my dad. My father. He's very sweet. Like, he questions, if he's a good dad. And I'm like, you don't even have to question. I know I sometimes jokingly say, I hate you. You're really, he's like, I'm a good dad, am I? And I'm like, no, I hate you. Just, jokingly. And he's like, okay. Because he knows I'm joking. And on my birthday, he texted me, he said, happy birthday. Well, I live with my dad, but I live with my dad and mom. So, and, so, we have something to talk about. I might be taking a break, like, I don't know when I'll be taking the break, but I have really bad mental health issues right now that I've been struggling with. I just found out my friend he had cancer and then he was free from it. And then he just barely found out like 3 weeks ago that he had it again. And it's been really, really rough on me. I've just tried to stay positive about it, but like I have breaking points where I just break down and like cry. Oh my gosh, there's a freaking, what is that, a perch? No, because the Great Frisian would be 50. But it's a little bit sensitive for me to talk about right now. Just because like he could die, he's at risk of dying. He keeps telling me, look, I'm not gonna die, and he has a certain disease, where like not many of the people with AGS, that's what his thing is, live past like their teenage years. Not many of them live into adulthood, and so that's been really hard for me to swallow and like really hard for me to think about, talk about, because I know that I'm not gonna have him in adulthood. Like, yes, I am gonna have my other best friend in adulthood because she's perfectly fine. Like, she doesn't have anything wrong with her, and like I know that she just made a joke, but like I had to tell her. I was like, so earlier she told me, she was like, I was like, I'm gonna have you in adult years, and we're hopefully gonna be friends till we're adults and until we hopefully die. And she said, well, what if I die? Like, what if I die before adulthood? And I said, no, you know why? Because you're not gonna die. And I said, I went from laughing to immediately like, okay, stop talking about it. I was like, okay, I got kind of serious. I was like, I already have a friend that is close to dying, and he has had strokes and stuff and been at risk of dying because of the cancer. And I had to tell her that and bring her back, and she was like, okay, I'm so sorry, like, I didn't realize that was hard for you. I'm like, you should, because, like, I, like, have told you about, like, what's been going on, and she was like, okay, I'm not gonna joke about that anymore. And she just, like, was like, that is not a joke to be making when somebody, like, when one of my friends is actually at risk of dying, and then the perfectly fine friend starts making jokes about dying. I was like, I'm the one that makes those jokes, not you. And it just, like, scares me, because I don't know, like, I was talking to my friend who has cancer today, and he said, when he said, well, so my mom was on the phone, with him as well. And we were just like checking up on him because we try to do that every day. Because we never know if this is going to be like the last talk that I have with him. And so, like, sorry. And so, like, and so, there's not a non-Nutrition. That's, yeah, so he was like, I keep telling her, like, I'm not gonna die like 1,000 times. And when he said that, I started to cry. And I started to cry. Like I bit my lip super hard. And because that's just a reflex that I do when I try not to cry. And he was like telling me, look, I'm not gonna die, I'm gonna live to like 85, 90 to 95. And I was like, knowing this, disease won't let him live to that age. I don't know, it was just kind of hard for me, and like I started to tear up, and I said, okay, I started to tear up, and I had to, like, he kept talking about it, and I had to finally say, okay, Fippen, I know you want to talk about this right now, but I'm not in the mental state to talk about it. Just talking about it a little bit made me tear up. He's like, you're okay, you're fine. And I'm like, okay, I gotta go, because, like, we try to talk every morning, either if it's on Marco Polo or, calling on the phone. And me and my, other best friend were talking about. So some people in her family have cancer. Oh. Guys. Oh, hi. You're just a quarter horse. You're another low, but hi. That was a horn. That is like my 12th horn, maybe 13th horn I've gotten this. And I'm just kind of like zoning out talking to you guys. Okay, let me check how long I've been recording. Okay, 14. I'm still upload that. Anyway, I was talking to her, and she said, like, look, I don't have a best friend that has cancer, like, cause I'm her only best friend, and so anytime she says like best friend with cancer or whatever, she's referencing to me. Anyway, she said that some family members in her family, I'm not really gonna say what, like, who they are in relation to her. Because I know that sometimes she watches these videos and I don't really want to violate her privacy. So, anyway, she said one of them's got breast cancer and one of them's got like bone cancer or something. And I was talking to her about it, and this is like one of the subjects that we resonate on and we get each other with. Like, we get each other with a lot of subjects, but I was talking to her, and I was saying, oh my gosh, it's so hard knowing that you have a best friend that could die, and knowing that you could lose them at any given moment. Anyway, sorry. It's so hard knowing that you could lose them at any moment. And knowing that, like, they could slip away at any point. She said, yeah, I totally get that. I've got 2 people in my family who have got 2 different types of cancer, and so I get it. And she was just saying how, like, you need to make sure you talk to them every day. You need to make sure that you, like, either message them, talk to them every day, because you never know. You legit never know if somebody's gonna slip away, if they're gonna slip away. And we were both crying on the call. As I was talking to her about this. And she said, I was like, it's really hard because you never know if they're gonna slip away or whatever. And I said, yeah. By the way, I'm so sorry for that. Like, that's so rough. Just 2026 has been kind of like, 2025 was rough for me in certain ways. And really rough for my best friend. By the way, bestie, I am so sorry that you had to go through a lot of that. But, like, 2026 was really rough. Like, legit, like, New Year's Eve, I accidentally backed up and hit, one of so I'm in a wheelchair if you guys didn't know, and I accidentally backed up and, like, disclaimer, the baby's fine, like, they were fine, they were just a little shooken up, they were not dead or anything, and so, I backed up and kind of had the tire go on their leg for a sec, and that was really hard for me. And then earlier in 2025, I think it was like September, October of 2025, I found out, that my, friend had his first round of cancer. Keep in mind, he is 15, so, that's a little harder, whereas with older people, you kind of anticipate them passing away. So yeah, I'm just on here to say that if he does pass away, if he does end up passing away, that is gonna be something that I'm gonna really struggle with because I've been best friends with him for 7.5 years. 7.5 years. And I'm going to be like, if he could die soon. You just never know. Like, he's doing fine right now. Not but like mentally, he's probably not doing good mentally. He's doing okay. But like, you never know if somebody's gonna like pass away or pass away. And so I just want to let you guys know that if he does pass away, I'm gonna need like a month to 2 months to kind of, or longer, I don't know how long, to kind of grieve. Well, I've already been kind of grieving, even though he's still here. You might ask, like, why are you... There's another freaking horn. Oh my gosh, guys. 2 horns in one video. What the heck? What the actual crap? Okay, that is significantly... But, like... I might need a little bit... I do need a little bit to just, like... There. Sorry. Even though he's still here, like, talking about his passing, and that's been a topic for 3 weeks. Well, like, ever since he found out he had cancer for the first time, that's always been a topic that we talk about, and he found out he had cancer 3 weeks ago. And that's always been, like, a topic that we try to talk about, because, like, we don't try to block it out, because if we block it out, I think I might do this checking method, for the rest of the boost, because I've already gotten 2 horns. And so, like, I'm gonna need a little bit, because I know that he's going to pass away at some point, whether if it's the cancer, or whether, sorry, it's just kind of for me to talk about. I am gonna need a break on my YouTube channel for a little bit, because this has been, like, it's like, I don't know if you've ever had, like, friends and family that are really, like, people who are really close to you, whether it's family, friends, and you really have cancer at a young age. It's almost like your body is grieving, even if, like, it is, like, your body's grieving, but it's like, even though they're still there, like, physically, you know, like, and you know that, like, if you were to ask, are they gonna die? Are they gonna die? Like, you know the question is inevitable. You know the question that you never want to hear is yes. I've been crying daily about this. Like, I've been sobbing my eyes out daily about this ever since I found out I had cancer again. Sorry if this is not lighthearted. I'm just going through a lot right now, and I kind of need somebody and something to rant on. Oh, I don't need, but I just feel like that's the best thing to do right now. Already, I was a friend, joked about dying. My best friend joked about dying, and that hit me really hard, because I was like, if you ever die, if you commit suicide, I freaking swear, if you do that, I don't know what I would do with myself. And we both said to each other, if you ever committed suicide, because we both deal with, I deal with worse depression than her, but she still deals with depression. Sometimes, some days she's fine, some days are, really good. And she said, what if I were to die? What if I were to die? And I was talking to her about this, and she brought up the topic. We were just having a normal conversation, and she said, you know what if I was to die? What if I die? And it was just a lighthearted conversation. I was saying, I'm gonna have you, hold my life, basically, and she said, it turned into, what if I die? And I immediately stopped her right there, and I said, do not even, she said that joking. Third horn in a Okay. But why did it was low twos? I thought it was gonna write in for a second. But she was joking and saying, what if I pass away? And I said, I stopped her right there, and I said, don't, she was joking about dying. I don't think she, knew how, I was gonna respond to that, and I'm kind of crying a little bit. She said, what if I were to die? And I stopped her right there, and I said, do not ever joke about dying when you're perfectly healthy. Do not ever joke about dying. Trigger warning, there is crying, and do not ever joke about crying. Do not ever joke about dying when you're perfectly healthy and you have another got upset at her and I said, do not ever, like, I said it in, like, we went from joking to, like, serious in, like, 1.0 seconds. And I said, do not ever joke about dying. Especially when your best friend has another best friend who is, like, has very serious strokes if he goes off medicine and, like, have had deadly strokes that, like, could have killed him. And she was like, okay, I'm sorry. And I said, just don't ever freaking joke about that, like, cause, like, you have no idea the shit, I'm sorry, you have no idea the shit that I'm going through this past, like, week or so. She's been my rock through all this, by the way, like, I'm not trying to diss her, but, like, I was talking to her and she said, what if I were to die? And I was like, do not ever freaking joke about that when you're healthy. And I have another best friend who's actually, like, could die any day from, like, strokes and cancer. And could die normally. Even if he didn't have cancer or the strokes. It's really, really, really sad and really hard. Because he, is only 15. And he's having to go through, like, all this stuff. And it's scary knowing that he gets to pass away. Sorry. It's just freaking hard. And honestly, when she joked about that, I was like, don't joke about that. That's actually, like, a serious matter. And she's like, okay. And then I told her, I was like, another wigless and horny slide. And I said, don't ever joke about that again. And she's like, because she, like, I went from jokingly to, like, in my voice you could hear me being serious. And I said, you know what, don't ever joke about that, please, because, like, I've already had a really rough year. A really rough freaking year. And if you were to die, I would just crumble. And all my freaking eyes out. Sorry. And I just know that when my other best friend dies, like, I'm going to, even if it's expected, I still don't want to get that. Like, I tell my mom every day that I'm like, I don't want to get this call, and I know it's inevitable, and I know that I'm gonna at some point get this call, and I know that he's gonna sometime pass away. And she said, yeah, I'm so sorry, honey. I get how best friend. I lost a best friend at 13 from a really bad car accident. She didn't make it through it. And I said, oh my gosh, but like, the hardest part is her death was sudden for you. And I said this to her, I was like, her death was sudden. This, and she was perfectly fine. She didn't have cancer or anything. And even though it's my mom's best friend that she lost like 20 something years ago, my heart still hurts for that her and I know what it feels like to lose a best friend. And I said, well, you lost her suddenly. She didn't die of cancer or anything. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to diss you. I'm like, so that still sucks. She said, she paused me right in my tracks and she said, yeah, I get that you're not trying to diss me. Like, I don't know how hard it is to lose a best friend to cancer. And I said to her, I was like, the hardest part, the hardest freaking part of knowing that he has cancer is, the hardest part is knowing that, like, you're gonna get that call and you're gonna pick it up and it's gonna say, Pepper, I am so sorry Pippin didn't make it. Like, cancer won him over. Is that a wigless Pertron? Yeah, it is. And I just, like, the worst part is knowing that you're, like, uninevitably gonna get that call and you're gonna pick it up and it's gonna say, his mom or dad is gonna say, I'm so sorry, Pippin didn't make it. And just sitting there every day, hoping and praying that you don't get that call. And the hardest part is that my parents don't know how much I am going through right now. Wait, was that another freaking high tier or was it? They don't know how much I'm going through. They just see me break down daily. And I remember 3 weeks ago, Marco pulled me and said, look, I'm in a biopsy, pre-op room, waiting to get, the result back, where I have cancer again. Well, I might have it again, and he, like, freaking, like, jinxed it. And I remember picking up that phone and smiling and looking down on it. And then when he said I might have cancer again, I just remember dropping my phone. Dropping my phone. It was like a minute. Hello. And I said, and I like watched it all, and then after I got done, I just dropped my phone and teared up. And then I actually started like sob. And I went over to my mom with like a straight face, and she said, "What's wrong, honey?" And I said, "They're in a biopsy room trying to figure out if Pippin has cancer again." And she went around smiling to the same thing that I was doing. To the straight face, and my dad was in his office, and they both just were like immediately like, "I'm so sorry, Pepper. I'm so sorry. Like, that is so hard." Like, my dad was like, "I'm so sorry." Hey, Reba, did you fart? And they just both, like, my mom, like, immediately got up and hugged me and told me, "Look, I am so sorry." I am so sorry. Can't imagine the pain that you're going through right now. Like, it must be so rough. And I said, "Yeah, it is, and it sucks." And I went in my room and I cried, and then Marco Polo Pippin, and on the Marco Polo, I was crying. And then I told my friend a couple days after I had like gotten my like emotions down, and I got to the point where I could talk about it. She was like, "Hey," because like when I am like really, really sad about something, I kind of just shut down. And I don't know how to talk about it without like bursting into tears. And so my friend was like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, you're being really dry." And I just like burst into tears, and I said, "There's a horn." There's a horned donkey, guys. Oh my gosh, okay, that Swan Chance is 4 horns, guys. 4 horns. Anyway, we're getting little presents. And she's like, "Are you okay?" Anyway, she said, "Are you okay? Like, you're being kind of dry." And I said, I just broke down, and I said, No, honestly, no. I just found out my best friend just has cancer again. And that's really freaking sucked. And she told me, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That really sucks. I know what you're going through because 2 of my family members have 2 types of cancer that they found out they had like a year ago, and so I've been dealing with that. And I said, yeah, I said, well, like I told her that he had cancer the first time, and that was really hard for me. Like the first time I found out he had cancer, I was sobbing. I was sobbing to the point where I couldn't breathe. My chest hurt so bad, and I couldn't breathe. Because the way my mom phrased it was, Pippin's gotta tell you something, and my heart just dropped to the floor. And I said, okay, what is it? And I thought in my head, I went to the worst case scenario, and I said, oh shit, sorry for my swearing. Oh crap, he's, like, he died. You knew this, it was gonna come, it was inevitable, and I said, did he die? And she's like, no. But then, I got told, sorry, he had cancer. I just broke down, dropped my phone, couldn't even breathe. We'll do 1 minute. Out of desert, but we'll do. Anyway, so I just broke down and I started to cry. I couldn't even breathe. My parents hugged me and just told me, like, look, it's gonna be okay. Like, I was crying for the rest of the night, and I told my best friend, and she's like, oh my gosh. It was a couple days after I had found out, and it was like, and I said, sorry, we just need to. Anyway, so I told her, and she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That sucks. Well, she said more than that. And the cancer went away for about 3 weeks. He had it for a year. He was really sick. And then it just went away. He got to ring the bell. 3 weeks go by. Okay, 3 weeks. And that's when he tells me he has cancer. Again. And I text my friend. I'm in like hysterics. I'm like beside myself. And this was like 3 weeks ago, by the way. So this was like collectively 6 weeks ago. And I told her, oh my god, the cancer's back. This is horrible. And she's like, I call her and I'm in hysterics. I'm sobbing. You can see it in my face. I'm sobbing. You can see it in my face that I'm hurting. And she's just eating like a sausage. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, no. And I break down and she's like, okay, what happened? You're crying. And when you cry, I know something's wrong. And I said, the cancer's back. And she was like, why? I tell her, like, I just didn't really struggling and stuff. Because I told her that the cancer was back over text. She said, oh. And I said, she said, oh, you already told me that. I said, no, it's back again. And she's like, then she like immediately called me and was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, but I was there. I wish I could hug you. And so on my birthday, when we went home, she knows how much I've been struggling. And so usually she does like this side hug because like, I don't know who we can hug each other. And the whole time she kept looking at me to make sure I was okay. Because we like went to the mall and I got my ears pierced and she said, she kept looking back at me on the side, on every side of me, and I said, why do you keep doing that? And she's like, I just want to make sure you're doing okay. And I said, I'm fine. You don't have to keep doing that. We were watching Harry Potter when we got home. It was the 4th one, and that one's really hard for me to watch. Not gonna get into it. But she, like, and I think she could tell that part of the reason why I was crying was because I have a friend who is legit dying. And she just put her hand on my arm and she said, look, I know why you're crying, and I'm so sorry. Everything's gonna be okay. It might not feel like everything's gonna be okay, but everything's gonna be okay. And I said, thank you. And I just started to cry more. And like an hour goes by. And then comes time that we need to go home. And she hugged me. And it was like forever. Felt like forever. And anyway, she just hugged me forever and said, she whispered to me, "Oh my God, it's gonna be okay. Like, I know how much." I know how much you've been through this past month, and I'm so sorry. And whenever you need me, I'll be right here. And ever since then, she has just been right there anytime I need. Not saying she's not there for me, but just, man, this year's been the shittiest. Yes, there's been good parts to it, but mostly it's been really rough. And I can tell how my friend is right now, that he's probably gonna pass away later this year, in a few months. And I just don't want him to suffer. Seeing him suffer sucks. Anyway, thank you for listening to me rant, and cry. You guys, honestly, I did not expect to write this video, but I just got talking about it, and yeah. So I gotta go, because I gotta post